Hello and welcome to this NCFE provider session on digital communication. My name is Patricia Devlin and I'm a Provider Development Officer for Functional Skills. My role is to support centres through the planning, onboarding and CPD process for NCFE qualifications with the main focus on functional skills and the essential digital skills qualification. I'm joined today with my colleague Charmaine Phelps.
Hello, I am Charmaine Phelps, and I'm also a Provider Development Officer supporting centres with their functional skills and essential digital skills qualifications. Please note that myself and Patricia do not see live assessment material, and nor are we involved in the quality assurance process of your qualifications. It's our role to support you in your delivery and guide you through our processes.
So the objective of this webinar is to explore strategies for teaching and assessing the digital communication section of the essential digital skills and the communicating section of the digital functional skills qualifications. So we'll be looking at assessment structure, then we'll focus on entry level 3, level 1, and then some activity ideas, followed by multiple choice questions and short answer questions, some tasks, and ending with a summary.
Now to the assessment structure. Essential Digital Skills is based on the National Standards for Essential Digital Skills, which is hyperlinked on this slide. Digital Functional Skills is based on the Digital Functional Skills Qualifications Subject Content document, which has a firm foundation in the National Standards for Essential Digital Skills document. So you will find that the content for both sets of qualifications is very similar.
So here we have the weightings of the Essential Digital Skills Entry Level 3 assessment. So for the Essential Digital Skills, communicating is the fourth content area. It makes up about 1/5 of the total marks. There will be only 2 questions in the first section worth 1 mark each, while the 6 marks are available in the second section make up for almost 1/4 of the marks for that section. Next, we have the weightings of the Digital Functional Skills Entry Level 3 assessment. So for the digital functional skills, communicating is the third content area, and similar to the EDSQ, it makes up around 1/5 of the total marks, but this will vary depending on the paper. There are 1 to 2 marks available in the first section, which is similar to the EDSQ, and the remaining marks will come from the tasks in the second section, worth between 5 and 7 marks. Here we have the weightings of the Essential Digital Skills Level 1 assessment. And at level 1, essential digital skills communication makes up a little over 10% of the total marks. There will be 3 questions in the first section and 3 marks available from the tasks in the second section. So for digital functional skills at level 1, we have the biggest difference between the weightings between the EDSQ and the digital functional skills. Digital communication is only worth around 10% of the total marks for EDSQ, while for the digital functional skills qualification, it makes up between 16 to 22% of the marks. There are 2 to 3 marks available in the first section and between 6 and 8 marks available for the tasks in the second section.
So now we'll turn to entry level 3. Here we can see part of the entry level 3 content for both types of qualification side by side. So in the first column, we have essential digital skills, and in the second column, we have digital functional skills. 1.1 in essential digital skills covers everything from 3.4 in digital functional skills, but also includes management of a digital footprint. This is not covered in digital functional skills until level 1. There is no equivalent to essential digital skills 1.2 in digital functional skills at all. So all of this about public and private digital communication is not mentioned in digital functional skills. However, it is worth covering the differences between public and private digital communication in digital functional skills as well. It's also worth noting that 3.4 in digital functional skills is only assessed in the knowledge section of the assessment. So that's by the multiple choice questions and the short answer questions. The Essential Digital Skills qualification specification does not state which parts of the contents are assessed by knowledge or skills. Now, the content on this slide is the remainder of the entry level 3 content. So you can see that what we have here is actually very, very similar. The way the content is laid out in digital functional skills is more detailed. However, there is further detail in the amplification of the Essential Digital Skills qualification specification. For both qualifications, learners need to be able to email, text, use messaging apps, and make video calls. They need to be able to create contacts and groups and send and respond to online communication. Another key difference between the way they're assessed is for essential digital skills, for example, they might be, during the assessment, assessed through an observation of them making a video call or a text, whereas for digital functional skills, there are no observations during the assessments. So in the live session, we did an activity where we considered how do you or how could you teach the entry level 3 content in an engaging way. The attendees at the live session came up with various different ideas. For the most part, it was mentioned that a lot of learners don't have too many difficulties with the communication aspects, particularly text messaging, FaceTiming. However, they did have some confusion over the different icons, recognizing the icons. So while learners may be familiar with how they use their own phone and how they do a FaceTime message or how they do a FaceTime call, for example, when presented with the icons or asked to describe the icons, which they, in a digital functional skills assessment, they would need to know what those icons look like, because they certainly wouldn't be doing it as an observed task. Learners did struggle with that. Also, for some of our attendees, their settings are such that learners don't have access to mobile phones. So they were using like printouts of photographs. But to be honest, due to the differences between different phones and learners' familiarity with their own phone, but perhaps lack of familiarity with the icons that you would typically see, sometimes printouts can also help, even if learners do have access to their own phones. So by all means, during this recording, consider for yourself, how could you teach this content in an engaging way? And you can always skip back to the previous slides to see what it is that needs to be taught. Now we'll move on to level 1. Here we have the level 1 content side by side in full. For both qualifications, learners need an awareness of the context of their communication and how this might influence language and the type of communication. So, as I said before, in Essential Digital Skills at Entry 3, the difference between public and private communication is explicitly referenced, whereas it is not in Digital Functional Skills. However, it is still worth covering this because of the contexts that is mentioned in Digital Functional Skills. Learners need to be able to use email, instant messaging, text messaging, and social media for both qualifications. Vlogs, blogs, and collaboration tools are not mentioned in the qualifications specification for digital functional skills. Learning outcome 3.3 in digital functional skills brings in the ability to manage a digital footprint that's covered at entry 3 in essential digital skills. This part of the content is only assessed in the knowledge section of the digital functional skills assessment. So that's just by the multiple choice questions and short answer questions. And again, in the live session, we did an activity where we considered the parts of the level 1 content that learners most struggled with. And from the attendees in the live session, what it was mentioned was about emails. Quite often, depending on the type of learner, and we had quite a variance in the session, our older learners, when it came to emails, would write very formal, very long and detailed emails, whereas the younger learners quite often would tend to write an email but in text speak. So we sort of decided that we ideally we want a happy medium. Emails that are, you know, have a greeting, have the content in plain English but in full, so not in text speak, and then an ending at the end. So again, think about how your learners manage this. And I'll hand over to Patricia now for some activity ideas.
So here are some activities to help with the teaching of communication skills. So firstly, those that require speaking, listening and communicating. So you could do debates on the pros and cons of having a digital footprint. You could get learners to research and prepare a debate or a presentation. You also could hold mock meetings and interviews. And for writing, you could get learners to practice different types of emails, get them to tap the text. So that is, the T is what is the text type? The A is the audience, so what is the audience? And P for the purpose. So for example, the text could be email, the audience could be the client, and the purpose would be to inform. So an information email, this could be to let customers know a change of opening times to a shop or to a leisure centre. The text type could be an email, and then you've got the purpose again to inform. And you could also add features such as the CC and the BCC and discuss who may need this in different types of settings. This is another activity, and while you can break these down into separate activities, I have added both the formality and the public and private to this table. But if you just wanted to do formality first and do a separate one with type and public or private. So let's have a look at this. And remember, you can share this with your learners as well. So the activity is to select the formality for the descriptions. So you've got contacting a company about receiving an incorrect order. So you would have the type is email, the formality is formal, and it would be private. Next, you've got information on a local climate action group. So the type would be a blog, the formality formal, and the public and private, this would be public. Inviting friends to a birthday party, that could be text. The formality would be informal, and that would be private. And then finally, sharing summer holiday photos. That could be via social media, informal, but that would be public. So this next activity is to support with the understanding of digital footprints and where these can take place. So for this activity, it's to match the headings with the descriptions. So you can see the descriptions are in the table, and those choices are along the bottom. And what they would do would be to match those with the statements, the descriptions. I do have the answers on this slide, should you wish to have a look at that and use that with your learning.
Now we'll take a look at some of the multiple choice questions and short answer questions that we have available in the sample assessments. So, entry level 3 to start with, essential digital skills. Which one of the following adds to a user's digital footprint? We've got our choices here, and you can decide for yourself, and I'll reveal the answer. would be using social media. And another one, which one of the following communication methods is private? And we've got the answer there. And again, although we only have the one sample currently available for essential digital skills and the one sample available for digital functional skills, you can use the multiple choice questions from the sample to give you ideas for how you could create your own from the subject content from the qualification specification. And now for digital functional skills, and again, you can see the similarity between them. What's the name given for the information you leave behind when you search for information online? We've got our options. It is, of course, digital footprint. And another question, personal information that you leave online can be used to commit a crime. What type of crime is this? And our answer, identity theft. Now for level 1, essential digital skills. Aisha wants to chat to a friend in Canada about her upcoming visit. Which one of the following is a private way for Aisha to contact her friend? The only private way there is text message. Lee has bought a printer and wants to share a positive review about the product to inform other customers. Which one of the following would do this effectively? So there's lots of different ideas, but since it's to inform other customers, then we don't necessarily want to make it a private family vlog, and we don't necessarily want to just send an individual email. So by process of elimination, we can choose the social media platform. And again, when you're preparing learners for multiple choice questions, you can give them some ideas on how they should prepare for multiple choice questions. So one idea is by process of elimination. You can also ask learners to perhaps, without even looking at the answers, think about what they would do, and then see which one matches up the most similarly with the answer that they can think of without looking at the options. Now for digital functional skills, which one of the following can limit your digital footprint? Got our options there. And our answer using private browsing. And now we have a short answer question. List 2 types of settings in a social media account you can change to limit your digital footprint. There's 2 marks available, and our attendees did say that their learners struggle with short answer questions. So multiple choice questions, they find much more straightforward to answer. But when it comes to short answer questions, they struggle with the amount that they need to write, either writing too much or too little. So if we reveal the answers, and these come direct from the mark scheme, they might, for example, they might be thinking in their heads location tracking disabled, but they might only write location as their answer, which wouldn't really be enough. So whilst you're preparing your learners, have a think about how you're going to prepare them for those short answer questions, perhaps by various activities that you're asking learners to come up with answers themselves, rather than just always giving them multiple choice selections. And in the live session, we did this. The attendees created some multiple choice or short answer questions to assess this content. And by all means, please do pause this recording, go back to the subject content for whichever qualification it is that you are doing, and think about creating your own multiple choice or short answer questions to assess this content. And now we'll take a look at the tasks. So here we have an example of the entry 3 essential digital skills tasks. In this particular task, learners need to show that they can create an email, understand what a subject line is, accurately enter email addresses into an email and know also how to send a copy. When it comes to composing an email, the mark scheme gives an indication of the level of detail that's expected. So it says in the mark scheme that names are not required in the greeting or body of the message for the mark. There's only one mark available. So a simple, "Hi, would you be able to come and help me photograph my house? Thanks, Charmaine," would be completely sufficient. Finally, learners need to show they can send the email simply by clicking and selecting that send icon. For the task from digital functional skills, learners must first show they can add a new contact, enter the details accurately, and write an email with correct email address, relevant subject line, and the content of the email, including an appropriate opening and closing and the key information. And the mark scheme shows the expectation of the detail expected. And then finally, for the task that's available in the sample, learners need to show that they can unmute themselves by clicking on that microphone icon down at the very, very bottom. In this level 1 sample task from Essential Digital Skills, the question looks very similar to entry level 3. However, the learner must think of their own subject line. They need to show they can send the email, and again, the mark scheme gives the breakdown for the mark allocation, with only one mark available for the content of the email. So please ensure that while you may well make links to English functional skills for composing an email, for digital qualifications, a simple opening, key information, and closing is all that's needed. For digital functional skills, there's between 5 and 7 marks available on communicating in the tasks section. In the sample, we have a 6-mark question. And the mark scheme tells us the level of detail that we can expect. So we've got an appropriate formal opening and closing, content, and then the attachment. So the tasks that we've just seen are the tasks that you have available from the samples. But your learners may be asked to do different tasks in the live assessments. Well, they will be asked to do different tasks in the live assessments. And it is important that they are able to complete tasks that cover the full subject content range from the level that they're studying for the qualification that they're studying. So you can come up with your own tasks, and this is what we did in the live session. And by all means, you can stop the recording and do this now as part of your own continuing professional development, or you can do it at another time as part of your formative assessment for your learners. So using the subject contents, create your own tasks for learners at entry 3 and level 1 for the qualification that they are taking with you.
So we'll end with a summary. So the content differs slightly between the essential digital skills and the digital skills qualification, and the weightings in the assessment are also different. So please bear this in mind if you choose to use the other qualification sample material with your learners, and ensure you use the correct sample material prior to the learners sitting the live assessment. Use a range of activities to help with skills and development, and make links with other areas of study. And you can use sample assessment materials as a guide to creating your own multiple choice questions or short answer questions and tasks. So you will find everything related to the digital qualifications on the delivery support pages for each qualification linked here. This includes the CPD training. We've placed key contacts on this slide. Myself and Charmaine can support with the planning, delivery and preparation for assessments for your English, Maths and Digital Functional Skills qualifications. You can also speak with your account manager to discuss additional products, pricing or resources, and customer support will help you with specific learner queries on the portal and Surpass. And you can contact Skills Assessment for a demo, training or access to the Skills Assessment platform. So thank you very much, and I hope you found this session helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.